Signs are coming from Rome that could change the fate of the traditional Mass. Nothing is certain yet, but amidst curial rumors and subtle statements from the new Pope, some are seeing unexpected glimmers of hope. Perhaps after years of restrictions and divisions, a turning point is finally on the horizon. Stay tuned to find out more about what this means. After the Second Vatican Council, the Church embarked on a path that continues to divide even today. Ecclesiology, that is, the very vision of what the Church is and how it should live and govern itself, has undergone a radical transformation. This was not a marginal detail, but a change that opened the door to a series of liturgical and doctrinal changes. It was precisely from there that the possibility arose to modify the Mass, replacing a rite that for centuries had guaranteed unity and stability with a new form that imposed itself as ordinary, while what had always been normal suddenly became extraordinary. It is at this point that many traditionalist Catholics see the origin of the crisis. The unity of the Church was not broken by an isolated document, but by a sequence of decisions which, one after the other, made the fracture increasingly evident. First, the moral and pastoral openness of Amoris Laetitia, then the ambiguous management of events organized in the Vatican with questionable guests, finally, the famous interviews given to Eugenio Scalfari, in which a pontiff went so far as to utter phrases that many deemed disconcerting and even heretical. All this, according to a growing number of faithful, has eroded the Church's credibility and highlighted the fact that the division did not begin with traditionist custodes, but has roots much further back, precisely in the new post-conciliar ecclesiology. The question of the liturgy, therefore, is nothing but the visible symptom of a much deeper problem. The wait for a clear statement on the future of the traditional liturgy continues to grow, and all attention is focused on the Pope. Some signs suggest that a review of the restrictions imposed by Traditionis Custodes is not entirely out of the question. Rumors speak of a climate of expectation within the Roman Curia, as if the ecclesiastical world were suspended in a pause before a decision that could change the balance of power. Making the situation even more interesting was a statement collected by the Catholic Herald and attributed to Cardinal Gambetti, who responded with a few but significant words. Better not to respond to this. We were told that we will wait for the Holy Father's decision. It's a brief statement, but it's full of implications. On the one hand, it confirms that the matter is far from closed. On the other, it emphasizes that the final word belongs exclusively to the Pope, without the cardinals preempting or rushing ahead. If other cardinals in the past had indulged in personal comments or more direct positions, Gambetti has chosen a line of total deference. This attitude signals that the Curia, despite differing internal sensitivities, finds itself awaiting a decision that cannot be circumvented or ignored. In this expectant silence, the question circulating among the faithful remains the same. Will the Pope ease restrictions on the ancient Mass, or will he confirm the rigid line already followed by his predecessor? Cardinal Gambetti is an anomalous figure in the Vatican hierarchy. He has not followed the traditional path that leads first to the episcopate and only then to the cardinalate. His elevation to cardinal, in fact, was a direct choice by Pope Francis, who decided to entrust him with important roles despite his young age, making him one of the youngest members of the College of Cardinals. Coming from the order of Friars Minor Conventual, he has always stood out for his sober style and an approach far removed from the power games that animate the sacred palaces. In his first interview, Leo XIV made it clear that he does not intend to fuel further conflicts on the liturgical front, and that he recognizes the value of tradition. If you appreciate our outreach service and believe in the values of truth and transparency, please purchase a super thank you. Each piece of content requires commitment, study, and dedication, and our work is entirely self-funded. Your support helps us continue this mission. Thank you so much. Starting from these statements, it appears increasingly plausible to hypothesize a revision of the restrictions on the ancient Mass. The decision to ease the restrictions, in fact, would represent the least divisive path and the most consistent with the desire to restore serenity to an ecclesial front marked by years of tension. The problem is that for many tradition-bound Catholics, the heart of the matter is not just the survival of the Latin Mass, but the doctrinal coherence that should sustain it. The ancient liturgy represents an invaluable heritage, but if it is not accompanied by a return to clarity of doctrine, it risks becoming an isolated island, an aesthetic gesture devoid of its original strength. This is the fear that is spreading among those who see the post-conciliar reforms not just as a ritual change, but as a real weakening of the Catholic faith. Traditionis Custodes, from this perspective, was nothing more than a further blow to the unity of the Church, already undermined by previous documents and gestures. But even if many hope for its abolition, the problem remains deeper. Without addressing the doctrinal issue, any concessions regarding the liturgy risk being temporary and fragile. In other words, the ancient Mass may return to its former glory, but if the truths of faith are sidelined or relativized, the gap between what is celebrated and what is believed will continue to widen. Rome will once again be the scene of a significant turning point. Cardinal Raymond Leo Burke will celebrate a solemn pontifical Mass in St. Peter's as part of the Summorum Pontificum pilgrimage. For years, this event was the culmination of an event that attracted faithful from all over the world, until it was suddenly banned in the last 2 years. The return of such a solemn celebration to the very heart of Christianity can only be seen as an encouraging sign for those who defend the ancient liturgy. The date set for October 25th will be a deeply symbolic event. It's not just a ritual, but a public testimony. Despite the bans and restrictions, the traditional Mass has not been cancelled and continues to be celebrated even in the most important basilica in Catholicism. For many faithful, this is a silent but eloquent response to measures that have sought to relegate the Latin liturgy to the margins. Burke, a figure who has always defended tradition, thus becomes the face of a resistance that continues unabated. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.